Okay. All right. Officially, welcome to Your Business Plan 2022. And as always, I'm grateful for all of you taking time out of your busy schedules to be here. Sorry, we got off to a late start since my computer won't connect and I'm talking to you on my phone in case you wonder why it looks so funny. And you know, I love teaching business planning. Prior to getting into coaching and founding Win by Noon, as a loan officer, business planning was the class I taught every year. I taught it in December, end of November, December, January. Title companies brought me in, real estate companies brought me in, and I did it one-on-one with my referral partners. And so I've got lots of you on here, over 100 of you on here. So I'm super grateful for that. And I know you are from all different disciplines. I know I've got loan officers here, real estate agents, and I think I even have a few people who aren't either one, and I'll make this applicable to all of you. And since I cannot be on my laptop where my PowerPoint presentation is, I am going to just roll this. I'll be looking down every once in a while because that's where my slides are, but I think I'm just gonna roll through it. I don't think I'll really need to rely on that, too much. I think that just kind of a couple of housekeeping things, kind of what's the plan for today. Number one is I've seen a couple of you mention that you didn't get the business planning tool. So when I send out the resources after this, I will send you a direct link to download the business planning tool. As you might guess, as a entrepreneur, what you want to do is put out free content and have people give you their email address before you give them what they want. And unfortunately, when it sends the email out, since it's coming out from a CRM with the direct link to download the different business plans, it sometimes goes into your spam. So I'll get you guys that direct link so that those of you who haven't been able to download the plan, you'll be able to do it. Now, one other thing that I will tell the rest of you is that you may not have noticed this, but when you look at the business planning tool, I'll actually send it to you guys in this way too. I have mine printed out like this. This is on paper, but I normally print it on really thick cardstock. So I'm getting some thick cardstock to do that. But I kind of print it like a book. I think that's like a cool way to do it. So I've got that version. I'll email that to you guys as well. But there's actually a mistake on it. So they got to fix that. It actually has the 2022 totals here at the top and at the bottom. It's actually supposed to be 2021. So it's nothing like I couldn't fix with my handy whiteout in a blue pen, the 2021 part. So I'll walk you guys through it where my fancy PowerPoint slides has all these pieces cut out. You will not have it cut out. You will just have me show it to you, and then we will go from there. It means I have to look at you, make eye contact the whole time while I'm trying to do this stuff down here. So we are just going to have a blast going through this with our technology gap that I have on my side. Apparently, you guys can all get on Zoom from your computers or phones, but just apparently I can't. So the plan is today. So those of you who didn't get the tool yet, you don't need to do it now. Go later. You just go to winbynoon.com/business planning tool. And then it should, in theory, once you do that, send you an email with a link that you click, and then it takes you to the website so you can download the plan. Now, there are 4 different plans, and we refresh these every quarter. We typically we typically upload the new ones midway through the quarter. So this plan, although I'm going to do mine personally, I do for the full year up front, and then I kind of a yearly plan, then I'll do a separate one for the quarter, and I'll explain that as we go through. But every quarter, so this one obviously says Q1 on it, so probably mid-February, you'll be able to download the Q2 planner. And we have them for loan officers, real estate agents, insurance agents, and then the executive one, which is really good for anyone in sales. If you're a leader in the mortgage or real estate space and you do recruiting, that's a good one because it's got recruiting on there as a metric. But we put all 4 of those in there primarily because that way you can use it for yourself, or you can use it with any other partners or anything like that that you have. So just kind of know that that's our kind of the backstory and what my goal is with it. Now, we're gonna kind of run through it today and do a couple of things. One thing that you will get from me too is, this is my announcement. See, I'm peeking down at my PowerPoint, is I'm doing this same time next week, hopefully with Zoom fixed. I'm going to walk you guys through what is truly my favorite class. Business planning is really my second favorite class. And I have not taught this class probably in 3 or 4 years, and I've never taught it on a webinar, but I'm going to teach building your life plan. And I think that the way to supercharge your business and life is to actually not just write a plan for your business, but to actually have a written plan for your life. I know it sounds kind of clinical, but I will tell you that if you are really looking to change your relationships, change your personal outlook on life, join me for that. It's going to be a blast. Should be about an hour. I'm a little bit nervous teaching it. I normally teach it over a 3-hour period, but we have some breaks for you to go do some work. We're not going to have the break, so I think I can knock it out in an hour. But I'll put the link for that. I'll send it out to you. It'll be this same time next week, and I am really, really excited about teaching that. So today we're going to do 4 things. One, I'm going to talk about why plan. Now, why am I going to talk about why plan? Because I got to kind of poke you in the side a little bit. If you saw my original Facebook post, over 90% of you believe that having a business plan would actually help you grow your business, yet less than 10% of people actually do it. Right? I mean, it's kind of crazy. And so I kind of have to remind you of the why, so that way you actually will take the action after we get off of this, right? That's where people run into troubles, is they show up here, they do this, right? You're spending valuable time that you could be doing something else here to learn. And if you don't actually take the time to do it and execute over there. So I'm doing the why to remind you of it. And I'll go through that kind of quick. Then I'll actually walk you through the business planning tool. I'm going to take a deep dive into the ideal week, right? That's the piece on the back. And why do I do that? Because the ideal week, you actually scheduling the activities that lead to the results, is really what's going to drive you hitting your goals for 2022. And so therefore, I got to actually reverse and get back there. And then I'm kind of doing a bonus. I'm throwing it on there. And this bonus will be for most of you, but not all of you. It will be for anyone who is a real estate team leader, a loan officer, branch manager, regional manager, a loan officer team leader, or a loan officer who wants to work with real estate agents to help them do their business plan. I'll just walk through really briefly how I followed up and what I did with my real estate agents in order to help them be successful with the business planning tool. Now, I'll kind of give a quick kind of story about it. A lot of you know that I was a coach for about 3 years with Building Champions. And I was a client of theirs. Literally a little after a year, I got into the mortgage business. And they coach a methodology which they call the Core 4. And people always want help with one of these 4 things. And it didn't matter really where you went. If you said, hey, I need help with managing my priorities, managing my day, right, which is obviously what Win by Noon is built around, they would say, well, gosh, I really can't help you. I would say, I guess as a coach, I really can't help you plan your and prioritize your day unless you have a business plan, right? So that's what we're going to talk about here. And then they would say, well, gosh, but you know what? I really can't help you with your business plan unless I know what your business vision is. Like, what's really that big picture? What's that BHAG, that big, hairy, audacious goal that you're trying to grow to? And really think through vision. And I'll probably do a vision webinar upcoming. I've got a couple of people I'm trying to resource to maybe co-host that one. But if I can't find someone to co-host it with that can do it when we need to do it, then I will do it myself. And then lastly, I really can't help you with your business vision unless I know who you are as a human, as a person. And that's where the life plan comes in. And I always credit Bill Hart, who coached me for those first 4 years and helped me with my first life plan, as making me not just a better loan officer, but a better human, most importantly, better husband, better father, better friend, and better everything. So that's kind of where this all ties together. But the business plan piece, and the reason I talk about the ideal week, because it's really how do you plan out what you do? Because in the end, it's great to have a plan. You know, we have to have that written plan to cover that gap, right? That 18 inches between your head and your heart. And so the written plan will do it. So the reason that I kind of talk about the why is the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and expecting a different result. I always kind of joked that I was in the mortgage business for 17 years before I left coaching, but some of those years felt like, the first 10 years felt like I was reliving the first year over for the 10th time, right? A lot of you can relate to that. And I think with COVID, a lot of people are actually lived 2021 the same way they lived 2022, reacting in chaos. And I want to get us out of that definition of insanity. 94% of people show up in their office with no plan for the day. And 91% of people in sales have inconsistent month-over-month activities, right? It's that roller coaster. We've all had it, right? You could have 10 transactions closing this month, but because you're getting those transactions closed, you're not focusing on the prospecting and lead generation for next month. And then next month you do 1 or 2 loans, or 1 or 2 closings on homes, right? It's that up and down. It's that lack of plan when people get in their office. So Darren Hardy says it's people arrive at the office looking for fires, right? Looking for what to put out. And that's kind of what happens if you think about it. When you get in, if the first thing you do is open your email, then you're looking, what's fires in my email that I have to do? What's more important than what my plan was, which was to come in there and do those most important activities. And so I think it's even harder, especially those of you working at home. Think about that, right? If 94% of people walk into their office with no plan and 91% have inconsistent month-over-month activities, what happens when you roll out of bed and, or don't even roll out of bed, just keep working in bed, or roll out of bed and go into the kitchen or the home office and try to get focused? I did a call on Monday. It's in the Win by Noon user mastermind group. And that group has in it a video. I just kind of really talked about how do you get your day environment set up to really knock it out when you get rolling. And so I think that is really a critical piece of it, is to sort of think about your why. Like, why does this matter to me? What's getting in my way? Do I really want to be part of the 94% with no plan for the day? And really what Win by Noon is the outline of what to do for your day. Now, one other thing is that I often get asked for a business plan, do you have to be a win by noon user? Heck no. I mean, this business planning tool is for anybody. That's why we give it away. And it certainly feeds into win by noon if you start tracking the activity part. However, it's really for everyone. And so, keep that in mind too. When someone says, oh, I don't have that win by noon thing, or it's just not my cup of tea, that's okay. And so I'm going to real quick just peek at my chat because you guys are blowing me up with, whoa, it muted me. I don't know where my chat went. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. Chat. All right. So you guys can ask me questions. I'm not going to be as good at going in there. Oh, look at that. Someone put the business planning tool link in there for me. Marina, you are awesome. So that is good. Someone let me know their client just walked in, they jumped off. That's because you did poor planning, or maybe they just surprised you. So that's awesome. All right. I'll keep checking back on that. So let's just start with the tool, right? So a couple things in here, right? Q1, name, phone number. That's all good, right? But really, we're going to start here with this part, the corrected part again. So you'll hopefully get the new one. I'll ask Adam. He said that they're working on it now. So either way, you might just have to do what I did and get the white out and put 2021 on here. And we're going to start looking backwards, right? You've got to, we know success leaves clues. So you got to look back there to see what it is that you did in 2021. And for me, when I business plan, I actually pull out the previous year, 2020, and say, okay, how did I do? How did I do 2020 versus 2021? If you wrote a business plan last year, let's pull it out. Let's look at that. And let's, even if you haven't looked at it all year, right? Just dust it off, right? If you haven't looked at it, it's your opportunity to reflect, right? You notice a lot of what I do in Win by Noon is the intentionality, not just around planning ahead, but it's the review and reflection part, looking back and seeing what I can learn from the past, because that's really where you learn the most about you. And I would say this, depends on who you talk to. Some people are telling me that 2022 is going to be a busier year than 2021. And other people are saying that 2022 is going to be a quieter year. I think for a lot of you loan officers, 60 some odd % less refinances expected last year. And if you've spent all year, riding that wave of refis and you haven't focused on your real estate agents and your purchase business, then you may have a down year, right? We're gonna talk about that when we get to the ideal list. For you real estate agents, it was interesting. I was talking to my business partner this morning. He was talking through a real estate agent that he sat in yesterday. He was talking about business being down about being down possibly next year because of higher rates and inflation. But ironically, in our market, they said that there was going to be a higher number of sales. So again, the math didn't quite compute. But that said, it is what it is, right? I think it's a great opportunity for you to look at your year from this year and decide what I want it to look like next year. And here's sort of how it looked at the end of 2020 when I was talking to people. I had people who said, holy smokes, that was a crazy year. And I think if I talk to you now, you're going to tell me the same thing. 2021 was a crazy year. I feel like we've had 18 months of beauty, right? The best market we've ever seen, craziness, as well as this health situation that's been throwing people off. And so you want to look at your closed transactions. So if you're a real estate agent, right, you can get your closed transactions. You should know what's closing in December. You should be able to go to your managing broker if you haven't kept track of yourself and ask them, hey, what are the number of transactions that I have? And I would certainly look at that from a listing and a buyer's perspective, both. And that's where you're going to get your numbers. If you're a loan officer, same thing. You can go to your loan origination system and you can look, what did I close last year? And we have that, you'll notice on here, two ways, right? We have it in family served, so that's units. Because again, we always want it not to be all about deals. I hate the word deal. If you hear me use it, slap me through the screen. I like transactions, right? No one wants to be a deal. You want to have transactions. You want to serve families. And then you have loan volume funded, right? Those of you in California and Washington State dealing with multi-million-dollar, on a call yesterday, someone said they did a $3 million VA loan for a condo or something crazy. Like that's just not any market I ever worked in. So those folks really like units or dollars, and then people in markets like where I always work, where loan amounts were smaller, like units, because it makes us feel better. And so look at both of those, and then you have to decide. So when I was talking to people last year, like I said, I had people in a couple of different camps. Some people said, "Gosh, you know what? If I can repeat 2020 again in 2021, that's a win." Right? They were just looking to be even. I had other people said, "Gosh, 2020 was pretty good, but I really want to push the gas. I want to actually close more." And then there were some people who said, wow, that was so much. I worked so hard. I actually want to notch it down a little bit. Now, I'm not a big fan of notching it down. I would much rather see you say, you know what, I did the best year I ever did, and it's be hard to repeat because there's be less refinances, or I did the best year I ever did, it's be hard to repeat because prices have gone up and I don't know if I'm going to get as many, buyers that I'll represent or sellers. That's okay. I still want you to push to maybe try to do equal. I would say push for a little bit more, right? And so you're gonna look at what you did last year. And again, you may or may not have had any of these other goals set last year. So if you didn't, then don't worry about it. If you had another goal that you were using this planner or this tool or the Win by Noon planner to track and record, then great, put those in there. Next, so that's it right there. So first off, this is a business planning tool. Yeah, I got personal on here. Why? Because you matter, right? I want, there's no such thing as life balance, but because it's always a teeter-totter, right? Sometimes you're given more on the business side, sometimes more on the personal side. Again, join me for the life planning class that'll teach you that. But ultimately, then the next thing we're going to do is it's a mini version of it. I'll send you guys, I'm going to make myself notes as I go through. So I'm going to send the link out to everyone afterwards that has the link to download the direct business plan if you didn't get the email so you could download it. So number one, you'll all get the link. Number two is I'm going to send you the PDFs also that fold out like this of the ones that I have. I've got the real estate and law one. So if you want to print it like this on 11 by 17, I'll send you that because the other one prints out single pages. So I will send you the PDF of the fold out version. I'm going to send you the life planning webinar link so you can join that. And then I'm also going to send you a keep, improve, start, stop form. So this is kind of a mini keep, improve, start, stop. Those of you who have the planner, you'll notice it's in there for your quarterly review. But ultimately what it says is thoughts, adjustments, and changes for 2022. And again, this is the reflection time. And this is where I want you to schedule time. So, again, it's no secret. I'm going to say it a bunch of times, but you need to execute this by scheduling time. So I met with my wife. We had a planning meeting last night for a few minutes before we left the office and said, hey, over the holidays, after my kids are back to their homes where they live, the kids who are coming in, we need to spend some time. We need to work on our life plan. And then I'll work on my business plan during that time as well. You have to schedule time away from your normal. Now, am I going to do it here in the office? No, you got to go somewhere else to do it because there's too many distractions here, right? So it could be somewhere like a Starbucks. It could be you get a hotel and you check into a hotel. That's like the ultimate, especially when you're doing your life planning. So we'll talk about that more, but ultimately just schedule time. I prefer you do it away from your office, away from your home, just so you're in a different environment to say, this is a special time. And one of the things you'll do after you total up your numbers is you'll look at what went well last year, right? Where do I want to improve? What are the things that I could have done better? So what do I want to keep doing that's working? What do I want to improve I'm doing, but it's not working as well as it could? What do I want to start doing, right? Shiny object syndrome, all those things that you've seen or heard that other people are doing. You're like, oh, I want to do that, right? There's so many great things we hear about when we talk to other people that they're executing on, and maybe you're not. And so that's going to be an opportunity for you to write that down. And I think this is a great area to do free form, right? Like, hey, you know what? 2021 was a crazy year, and here was the top things that happened. Here were my struggles. Here were the opportunities I didn't take. Here were the things I did that I want to stop doing. And therefore, in 2022, this is what I want it to look like, right? Kind of give yourself a little written piece. You may have to use something bigger than this form to do that. And I'll give you that keep, improve, start, stop form. It'll give you some ideas to bullet point some of these pieces. And it's something that I do every quarter, right? I really think back. I'm not a big journaler. This is the closest I get to it. And really look at it and think through it. Because in the end, if you're not thinking to learn from the past, I think you're going to struggle to get the lift off you're looking in the future. Then the next part at the bottom are the 2022 goals. So let's go through that. I already kind of gave you're going to decide what you want to go up. And again, part of that's going to be determined by your level of energy and excitement or your level of exhaustion as you head into the year. And, I can tell you, like for my team, we hit this year and I interviewed all the loan officers on the team and I said, hey, what do you want it to look like? And more or less, they all just wanted to, 2 of the 4 wanted to do exactly what they did last year. And then 2 of the 4 wanted to step on it. And so I didn't really predict that the team's business plan was going to be much higher. I put on the business plan 160 million. And as crazy as it sounds, the team is going to hit, looks like 160 million. And that was allowing people to set their own goals in there. Now, that was after doing 150 last year. So it was a little bit more than last year, but not, squat doing the same thing. So, maybe you sold 25 homes for $10 million. I don't know if that math works, but let's just pretend it works. And so you have to decide, do I want to sell 25 again next year? I hope you don't want to sell only 24. Do I want to sell 30 next year? Like, what do you feel like that looks like? And so you're going to put down those numbers first. And again, oftentimes it's your gut, right? And so when it comes to goals, you've all heard SMART goals before, right? I like to put an S onto the SMART goals and put an S on it. SMARTs. A lot of you have seen me talk through that before, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time sensitive, and stretching. So I think you got to stretch it. So oftentimes what I will do is do a regular goal and a stretch goal. I didn't do it last year. I should have done 160 as my goal and 200 million as my stretch goal. The problem is that you don't want to stretch it so high that you get discouraged, but you don't want to make it so low that you just blow through it. And I think a lot of that's psychological, right? Some of you are like, oh, I'm going to set my goal, 10% lower so I can blow through it and pat myself on the back. Great. If that's what motivates you, do it. I want this to be a goal that motivates you, right? That's a real key. Those of you who subscribe to Win by Noon, you got a scoreboard that you can hang on your wall that has, you can put this on and you can track it every month and put it on there. So I'll get that and put it on the back of my door, since I didn't get it mailed to me, since I just walked over and picked mine off the shelf. But we're going to look at that. And then there's also a spot on there for a third goal, business-wise. That could be like hire an assistant. That could be, find a, whatever. It's something that's important to your business. Now, if you don't put a third one on there, am I going to criticize you? No. But think about it. Is there something else that would be important to me for me to do in business? Maybe it's a new CRM. Maybe it's just something. And then again, you can look at that for the year. And then the personal goals, I tend to see these, for me personally, it's around health, right? So I've got a target weight that I want to stick to. And then I normally write a little mini plan around each of these. So, again, you can decide what that looks like. But remember, it's a specific goal. So it can't be like, that's why it's not, I want to do more business. It's, I want to do, 5 more transactions next year. Personal goal can't be, I want to lose weight, right? It has to be, I need to lose 20 pounds. And then again, measurable, right? 20 pounds is measurable. Achievable, that's probably achievable if that's what your goal is. Time sensitive, by when? Again, a lot of these goals, that's why when you get outside of the big business goals are going to be more short sprints. They're more like quarterly goals, right? Hey, I'm going to do this by the end of the first quarter. Maybe I'm going to do it by, the end of the second quarter, but by when, right? You want to put that time sensitive piece on there. And then again, I think the whole idea of stretching just a little bit, I think is good. I think most people don't do it. Again, I think it's also the realistic. You don't want to do something that is so crazy. I mean, if you closed as a loan officer 10 million this year, don't say you're going to close 100 million next year. That could be your vision, right? My vision in 2003 was to close $100 million of loans, but I set that out there for 10 years down the road, to get there, to get to that vision. And so that's the annual goal. So the first page is all around annual. And then when you open it up, this is where it starts to overwhelm people. So let me just take my time and slow down and kind of walk you through it. Let me just see if someone did a little chat there. So if you guys have questions, again, just throw it in chat. That's the best place for me to see them. So that's perfect. Someone gave a link to the business planning. So that is good. All right. So here's the quarterly goal. So now why do we break it down quarterly, right? It's so much easier to chunk something down, right? I actually then look at it, if you're a planner user, then I'm looking at it monthly, and then I'm looking at it weekly, and then I'm looking at it daily, right? I mean, you want to break it down there. So really we're doing it because it's more manageable. It's easier to say, hey, if I'm going to do 100 transactions next year, that's overwhelming. But if I'm saying, hey, I'm going to do 25 in the first quarter, that's a little better. So then you're literally going to take your goals and you're going to divide that up by 4 and you're going to put it in there. That's the easy button. Now, some of you say, well, Todd, I live up here where it snows. You live in Arizona where people do loans all year, and we don't do loans in January and February, and we don't sell any houses in November and December. Great. If you want to adjust it for seasonality, go for it. If you have the data, then you can totally do that. For me, I just make it flat through the year because that's the easy button. I'm trying to keep it simple, right? A lot of you have seen my previous presentation before where I show a space pen, right? And so I show the space pen, and it's funny. I was looking for a better story to tell around simplicity, but the space pen's a great one. So back in the 60s, right? JFK's like, we're going to the moon, right? He did that famous speech and said, we're going to the moon by the end of the decade. And As crazy as it sounds, one of the challenges was getting a pen that would write in zero gravity, right side up, upside down, extreme heat, extreme cold. And so NASA had to go out there to this pen company to have them design a pen. And so it was nice I had that prop in my drawer, huh? And so they developed this pen, and the cost of the pen, depends who you believe, right? There's all sorts of internet stories about it, but I like the story as it is that it basically cost over $1 million at the time. And even if it was less at the time, that'd be inflation, current day price would be over $1 million they spent to figure out how to use a stinking pen. And at the same time, the Russians were in that space race, right? They were trying to do the same thing that America was trying to do, but guess what? They didn't have that America had. They didn't have the budget, right? Sputnik, they beat us into orbiting the world and orbiting the Earth, but they hadn't beat us to the moon, right? We were racing to the moon, and they didn't have all that money to invest in their fancy space pen. So what did they use? It's crazy. I actually had this in my drawer, a pencil. Right. So again, it's don't overthink it, keep it simple. And so when you're thinking through these goals, I want you to keep it simple. Now, you may not have put a goal on the front for 2022 for personal goals, but I really want you to put a personal goal on the quarter. You can pick a goal that's really important to you personally. So again, maybe for the quarter, this is where you're going to put your CRM. You're going to say, hey, I can get a CRM this quarter. Maybe you're going to launch a video series on how to, client frequently asked questions when buying a home. Maybe you're going to hire plug and play SM to help you with your marketing. All things that are on my mind. See, that's why I bring them up. And ultimately, you're going to put that in there, and you're going to commit to that. And then I think from a personal perspective, again, what is it in your personal life that maybe you can do? So for me, oftentimes it's going to be days of vacation, days of being unplugged, even if I'm in town, like unplugged, not hooked to, my phone. Oh, I don't have my phone. It's right there. I'm like, where's my phone? That's my best prop. Because I'm talking to you guys on it. Hopefully it won't go dead while we're talking. That would be really embarrassing. And so so think about your personal goals, right? I would think health, right? You tell me, weight's always the number one. Is do you feel like where you are? I mean, I'm only a few pounds off of what my ideal weight is, but guess what? I'm going to put it on there. I like my goal right now. If you look at my planner, the top says BWC, be world class, right? That's my goal, to be world class every day. Well, that's not smart, right? It's not specific, it's not measurable. So what are the things that, that are in there? And so, I can tell you this for me personally, because it's in the front of my planner. I'm actually writing it out for next year. It's my world class plan for 2022. So I've got in here, what's world class look like? And it's got in here what my morning routine is. It's got what my end of the business day routine is. It's got my nighttime routine, which is where your morning routine starts. And it actually has my food plan in there. Like, what's my food plan look like? Because again, I'm focused on health, and I write these things down and I review them in order to get where I'm going. And so that'll get into here on the idea list in a minute, which I'll talk about. But, ultimately, these are just going to be those target goals. And so I haven't done mine yet, but it's going to say 159. That's my weight goal. And then again, here's my written plan of what I'm going to do to get there. I'm sure it's going to have I can tell you my year-long personal goal. Our goal is to be gone for a couple months next summer and work from somewhere else. Not in the Airstream like last year, but in an Airbnb and stay in a couple of places. And so again, that's going to be a goal that's absolutely going to be on there. It is specific. I know what the time is. It is measurable. I know the number of days. I'm calling it 80 days around the world. That's maybe only like 70 some odd days, but hopefully it'll be 80 days. That'll be even better. And so those are things that I'm going to put on mine, I'm sure. I mean, again, once I sit down to do it, then we'll do it. And so I want your goals for the quarter figured out. And so you're going to take whatever your annual goal is. So for me personally, I'll have to have a project here on what do I need to line up personally in order to make sure that when we want to go away next summer, I can get there. So what happens is you need kind of these improvements. And so I'll talk about how that works. So this is where people get lost on this thing. So if you are not a win by noon user or this overwhelms you, you can totally ignore this whole part. Really, if all you did was you set your goals, then great. But I think you're missing the boat. Because ultimately what this part is, and I'm not going to dig into it. If those of you are win by noon user, this is what are the other results that you want, right? So if you're a loan officer, what are the number of leads I need to get there? What are the number of, you should be able to calculate that, right? If you're using the planner and you're actually saying, okay, I'm making this number of leads to get this number of applications to get this number of closings. Even if you haven't done a good job or you've never used the planner before, there's places you can get that. If you are a person who just uses, some kind of a notebook to take notes, you might have to go in there and literally physically count your leads, get out the highlighter, highlight them 1, 2, 3, 4. I got this many leads. You might have to go back and look at your calendar and say, oh, I had, 14 listing appointments and I had, 27 buyer appointments. You might have to go back and go old school. If you're a loan officer, go into your CRM, you might have or even a real estate agent, you might have your leads in your CRM from last year and sort, do a date sort on that. Loan officers, your applications, absolutely, loan origination system. Again, take those numbers and figure it out. If you closed 100 loans and you took 200 applications, your closing conversion rate's 50%. If you're trying to go to 120 loans next year, then the math is easy. You're going to need 240 applications, assuming that you convert at the same percentage next year. And so you'll reverse engineer what you want your weekly results to look like, leads and all those things based off of if you track it. Now, if you didn't track it, then guess what? Now's a great time to start. Either get out a pad of paper and start doing it, or get Win by Noon and start doing it. But in the end, the best planners have the best data. And if you have the best data, it makes it really easy, because literally all you have to do is go in there, look at what you did, and then do some conversion rates, right? It's in the end of the month and end of quarter of Win by Noon, and look at, well, what does that translate into numbers for next year? And we can spend some time. I'll maybe throw up another webinar where we talk in depth about that if enough of you guys need it. So when I send the email out, reply to that, and then let me know you need help with that. We can do it. But the one you really want to focus on is the activity commitments, right? And again, you may not think about these activities because you're not recording them currently, but in the end, that's really what you want to figure out is how much am I committed to this? And so if you have never done it, just for now, commit time. Don't commit, in numbers. For me personally, if I was originating loans or doing real estate transactions, I would be logging my prospecting time in hours if I'm, using a dialer or just dialing. I don't want to count numbers, but probably what I would do is I would be absolutely recording my outbound calls and making sure that I'm laser focused on the numbers. How many calls do I have to make to get a lead? How many calls do I have to make to get a closed transaction? Because that's really where the fun happens. And so I've got lots of webinars that I've done before. We'll be doing more on how to do that. So I won't dig into the weeds on that, but ultimately that to me is the secret sauce. Habits of success. I've already talked about that a little bit in kind of what I do. But this is on time, spending time on your business, not in your business. So that's writing your business plan, handwritten notes, social posts or social time, right? I mean, I already mentioned plug and play. They do a great job. Deborah Bird just posted up what her December social media calendar would look like, and she did a YouTube video telling you what to do. Like, hello. But again, like, what's that commitment going to be, right? We know you've got to record video. We know you've got to do social posts. You can also use it for how much time you spend on there to remind yourself that maybe 3 hours a day on social media is too much. Sleep, exercise, morning routine, evening routine, and a new habit, right? Where I'm all about, what's the new habit that, that someone's going to instill into their body and their life going forward. And so that's great. Last one is critical relationships. And the reason I put critical relationships on there, it was me, it was Adam who originally did it because we had space. And I'm like, I don't know about that one, but I think that's really key. So for me, my critical relationships, I can tell you what most of them are every quarter. Specificity matters. So it's specific. It's my family, Tara, Lacey, Emmeline, Giselle. It's my parents, right? I want to make sure I spend time with my parents. It's the team members I want to make sure I connect with. I put team, but I put their names next to them. And then maybe there's some other business relationships that you're going to target in 2022. You want to be really specific. Either I want to target it, or maybe it's a relationship or a friendship that kind of is quieted down because you haven't been out as much because of COVID, and you want to be intentional about it. So this whole thing is all around that word intentionalities, right? So people have words of the year. I have a few always, but intentionality, right? Being intentional is my key, because I think when people aren't intentional, then that's when you drift. That's when you get distracted, and that's when you are reactive and not proactive. And intentionality, go back to what I said, 94% of people don't have a plan for the day. Guess what? I come in the office or my home office with a plan every day, and that's how I am more successful at completing things. So if you literally just did that part of the plan, you've done more than what most people do. Here's kind of the thinking behind it, right? You've got a goal, which is your big number you're trying to do. And then you have what you did last year. Let me say this differently. You did last year. There's a picture of it in Win by Noon in the launch edition. If I can find it real quick, but if I can't, then I'm just going to keep going. Oh, no, I'm not fast enough. Let me just look through one more time, because I cut out a picture of it and I put it in my slide. But think about it this way, right? So what you have is there's the picture, right? So you're down here on Earth, and this is what you did in 2021. So that's why we started there. What did we do in 2021? And then now you have your goal here, which is where you're trying to go. And then in between here, you got to bridge the gap. And so how are you going to bridge that gap? That gap is going to be bridged by focusing on the activities that you do, having a plan, intentional plan when you get in the office to do the activities that are going to get you the results. So like I said, if you're trying to go from 100 to 120 and your conversion rate's 50, well, what do I have to do? Where am I going to get those other 20 transactions? Where am I going to get those other 40 applications from? And you got to think about what's the activity I have to do to get there? How many agents do I have to get? How many, who do I have to call? And again, we'll do some more time digging in on that. For those of you who want to, have a kind of a follow-up webinar of sort of how I've coached loan officers through figuring out how many realtor relationships they need to get in order to achieve their goal for the year. I think from a real estate agent perspective, for you, it's the leads. How many more leads do I have to have if I'm trying to hit my number that I'm trying to hit? Now, keep in mind, if you're not a loan officer or a real estate agent, it all still applies, right? You still have goals. You still have what you did, you still have the goal that you're trying to hit, you still have this gap, and that gap is the activities. What does that have to do every day to get there? There's a gentleman in my market, his name's Templeton Walker, and I heard him speak, and he asked this room of realtors, do you know what you need to do every day in order to hit your goals at the end of the year? And then he went and he rattled off, what it took him to get one transaction. It was how many calls he had to make in his sphere, how many doors he had to knock on, how many emails he had to send. What it was, he knew exactly what his activity was that led to the result he wanted, which was a closed transaction. And I feel like that's where most people, lose base. And so they've always said, when's the best day to plant an oak tree? 20 years ago. When's the next best day? Today. And so that's why I said, those of you who don't know what your activities are, because you're not recording them, start today. Like I said, you can use, in the old days, literally, I used this notebook. This was my precursor to, to Win by Noon. It was all done in here, right? Now it's fancy. It's in a Win by Noon planner. It looks a heck of a lot better. But, Win by Noon users do it. And if you have been using it, but you haven't been using that feature of it, no big deal, right? Start today. Start doing it, because then you've got 23 days till the end of the year where you can actually have results, although you're not going to work 23 days. You better not. Take some time off. And so that's the key. All right, so let me run through these other pieces of this, and then let's get you guys on your way. So the idea list. Now, why do I keep an idea list in my planner or in my piece? And it's also in the front page of your planner. The idea list is your depository for the shiny objects that you hear about. So if you were at dinner last night and you heard another real estate agent say, oh yeah, I am getting Boomtown. And you're like, I should look at Boomtown. Then if you use the planner, you would just go down there and write that in your planner. I use this because I used to have great ideas that I forgot about when it was time to do it. If you're at dinner, you can write it on the receipt or on a napkin. You could say Boomtown, and then you could get back and write it on this list. But this is your master list for things that come through. And it's a holding tank to keep you from doing something without thinking it through. All right, I'll say that again. It's a holding tank for an idea to keep you from reacting quickly before actually taking the time to determine, is this what I need in my business for next year? And so you're going to go through here. And so I would take the time and say, okay, what are all the ideas? Again, we already kind of talked about it here on the first page where we said thoughts, adjustments, and changes. So this is going to be the specificity around that. What are the other things I could possibly do? I can come up with a 5-star referral program. I can come up with I can do those holiday pies next year because I saw people do it and I didn't do it. I can do pictures of Santa next year. I can do a movie in the spring. I can get a new CRM. I can get that HomeBot thing I hear about. Whatever it is that you're thinking about, put it on this list. Because it's your holding spot for, right? And you're looking for ideas. And I wrote down kind of what I think ideas should do. They're on my slides that you're not seeing. You want it to reduce something that takes too long, increase something to add more value, streamline something in your process, or eliminate something that doesn't add value. So that's a pretty good filter for it, I believe. And so just think about that. I mean, really, what's going to help me do more business in less time? That's really how I boil that down to. And so that's why we have the project list. And so there's 3 on here for a reason. I would never do, I typically try to do 1 or 2, not 3, but I don't want you working on all these. So you're going to go through this and you're going to decide which ones. There's 2 criteria for how you can do this. You can ABC it, like, okay, the A's are the ones I really want to do. The B's are the ones that I would do next. And then look at the A's first and pick 1 or 2 or 3 and get started on them. And again, just have this ideas of what are the next steps, because most people don't execute an idea because they didn't actually know what the next steps were. So here you can write down what the next few steps are. But that's a super way. But ultimately, this whole idea is the depository for new ideas to make things happen. And I just think it's really an important step, because what I found is that I have this drawer down here. I talk about this drawer a lot, but this drawer crap. But really what it's full of is $1 million ideas. It's full of projects that are started that were never stopped or never finished, and just great ideas. And I don't want you to be in that same boat, right? That's where people get regret. I don't want you guys to have regret. And so make the idea list and use it. I feel like people who do that are a little more peaceful. And David Allen, who wrote Getting Things Done, would call it mind like water, right? When you get it out of your brain into some type of repository, then it's one less thing that your brain is having to think about. And I want you to have mind like water. All right. Last piece of this is, to me, I think, the most important. Okay. I'll say it again. This is the most important part. And the reason why this is the most important part, because I started off by rubbing salt in the wound, telling you that most of you showed up today with no plan for your day, other than being here. So high five for that. But really, you, depending on what part of the country you're in, you had, anywhere from 1 to 3 hours ahead of this call in your office. And you tell me, you're the one who knows, did I actually come in and have a plan? And was I ready to kick ass? Or did I come in and react? Did I pick up my phone and start responding to people before I picked up and did my most important priorities? And so one of the things that some of you guys have, it's in the Win by New User Mastermind group, it's in the file section, is the ideal week. And I'm going to blow through this really fast. But ultimately, that is your plan for being intentional. That is your plan to not be the 91% of inconsistent month-over-month business. We're going to have a goal. We're going to learn our numbers, or you know them already. And then we're going to come in and we're going to start working it every day. And so the ideal week, you're dividing your activities into 2 things. You're dividing them into daily disciplines and target day activities. And again, you don't have to do them the days that I do them. You don't have to follow this exact thing, but we've got one for real estate agents and for loan officers. Move the days around. It's like a Lego. You can move it around. You can stack them in the same day, or you can spread them out. Why did I spread them out? I spread them out because even though I blocked 3 hours every morning to do these things, most days it only took me 30 minutes to 90 minutes to do it. And therefore, it gave me the rest of the day to react. It wasn't like when people are like, oh my gosh, I got to spend all day doing it. Could you knock it all out in one day? Sure, right? But that's hard, right? Then you're like, what else is going on that I'm not doing? My email's blowing up, my texts are blowing up, my phone's blowing up. For all of you, I don't care what industry you're in, it's leads. Every day you got to follow up on leads. Again, I won't bore you with the statistics on it, but if you don't call leads 6 times, then you're probably not going to get a hold of them. Most people stop at 2. In fact, most people stop at 1. Like 12% of people make 2 calls, and then only overall, it's less than 20% of people who make a 3rd call or more. And the magic is in the existing calls. The studies all show that if you make 6 calls to a lead, that you're likely to get a hold of the lead. So I don't need to tell you that, but you got to call them every day, because guess what? You get to the end of the day and you're like, I didn't call that lead. That's not good. You realtors call your loan officer and you say, hey, did you get hold of the Smith family? And they're like, oh yeah, I left them a voicemail. And it's because they wrote it on a receipt when they were at lunch, not in their planner or in their mobile device. And they maybe called the person, left a voicemail last week, but they never followed back up again because it's just not top of mind. So you got to get them into your CRM. You can leave them in your planner. That's why it's got leads in the planner. And you are going to call leads every day, period, right? Number 2, if you are a real estate agent, you're going to call your database every day. You guys all know you have to call your database. I think that success leaves clues there. And there's not one coaching program that I know of in the real estate space that doesn't say, call your database. And I think you guys should be calling 3 to 5 people every day, or maybe you call for 30 minutes a day, however you want to do it. But every day, call your database. Loan officers, you're calling loan applicants who haven't converted to a pre-qual yet, right? The person who took the time, you spend 30 minutes with them on the phone, an hour with them in person, got their loan application, but you need that one last year-to-date pay stub that shows their overtime so you can figure out what they need, or you need something from them in order to get the pre-qual issued. And guess what? So if you don't follow up with them, they won't follow up with you, right? That's what Todd Duncan always says. And I think that's really important to make sure you do it. So number 1 is daily disciplines, and it's leads and database for a real estate agent. It's leads and pre-quals who haven't converted for loan officers. And then you also have target day activities. And let me start with Tuesday for my target day activities, and I'll end with Monday, because to me, this just makes more sense. I've never taught it this way, but surprise, we're doing something new. Tuesday is update call day. And again, I don't care what business you're in, your clients want more communication from you, and that's how you get more 5-star reviews. And so on Tuesdays, if you're a loan officer, you're going to be calling the listing agent, the buyer's agent, the client transaction coordinator. He or she knows what's going on with transactions blowing up. No one ever updates them. You should update them. And that's a phone call, in my opinion. It's a phone call. And you're building rapport. That way you can hopefully get the listing agent's business down the road, the transaction manager's business down the road, and your referral partner and your client want communication from you. Real estate agents, you should do the same thing, because guess what? Your clients want communication from you as well, and they're probably not getting it from your loan officer unless they're a win by noon loan officer using the ideal week. So you're going to have to call your loan officer first to get the update from your loan officer, and then you're going to call your client. And you could call the listing agent, but really your primary thing is to update your client. Wednesday, you loan officers, you are going to call your pre-qualified clients. I already said it. If you don't follow up with them, they won't follow up with you. If you're not following up with them, I'd be calling my clients who are buying within 30 days. In fact, this applies to you real estate agents too. Again, you're also calling your pre-qualified clients or your clients that are paying cash. If they're buying within 30 days, you have to call them every week. If they're buying within 60 days, every other week. If they're buying anywhere longer than 60 days out, you can call them every 3 to 4 weeks. Even if they're not coming back till next year when spring training starts and to buy a house, still you're going to check in with them. And because they're not going to remember you if not, they're going online, they're searching for properties and they're finding a new real estate agent. That's not you. Or if you're a loan officer, they're finding a real estate agent. And guess what? It's not your real estate agent. They're going to refer to a different lender. They're going to get caught in someone else's trap. So you're just calling them to check in and remind them. It's going to help you do that. That's Wednesday. Thursday, loan officers, you are calling your real estate agents. Why? You're going to call them. You're going to tell them, what did you talk to them about yesterday? What to their clients, right? You're going to be checking in with them, and you're going to call them on Thursdays. You are also doing this to protect your weekend. Now, realtors, close your ears for a minute. I don't want you to hear this. Loan officers, have you ever had a real estate agent call you on Friday night, Saturday, or Sunday and say, hey, the Johnson family just flew in town. I had no idea they were coming to look at properties. And can you take a pre-qual while you're getting ready to walk in the movies, sit down for dinner with your family on a weekend? And they're like, oh my gosh. All right, someone's asked if I can send a call schedule. Yes, I will put that on my to-do list here. I will send you guys that PDF as well, so that you guys have it. Ideal week. Okay. And your weekend is blown. So when you call them on Thursday, you can remind them, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Right? Simple question. What are you doing this weekend? They're like, oh, I am taking the Johnson family out. Oh gosh, have you pre-qualified them yet? No, I forgot to give them to you. Yeah, sorry. They 3 weeks ago made their plans to fly out here and look at properties, and I forgot to tell you. That's how you protect your weekend. So you're on Wednesday, you're telling your clients what's going on. This week, you're probably telling your client, if you're a loan officer, about that new loan limits, if your client's close to it. You're asking your client what they're doing for Christmas. You're asking them how their Thanksgiving was, right? There's lots of conversations to have when you're calling and updating clients on Wednesdays. And it's really the same conversations you have with realtors on Thursdays. So those calls are going to be rate updates, program updates, super boring, but every once in a while I'll do that. Holidays, right? What did you do last time? What last holiday? What are you doing next holiday, right? So if they say, hey, I'm going to Temecula with my family for Thanksgiving, then when you call them now, you'd be like, oh, how was Temecula? If you're asking them, you didn't ask them that, you're asking about Christmas now. Oh, I'm going to Hawaii. Great. Write it down in your CRM. And when you call them in January, ask them how Hawaii was. And then my favorite script is always, hey, just checking in, how you doing? What's going on? Because again, this is a great opportunity for you to learn from your partners and learn from your clients. Now, if you know from your Wednesday and Thursday calls that as a loan officer that your real estate agent is taking out the Johnson family and you've already got a pre-qual, then you're going to put in your calendar for Monday on your to-do list, call your realtor and call the Johnsons and see how it went if you didn't hear from them over the weekend. If your realtor says, hey, I'm doing an open house, again, Thursday, you can help get them flyers or whatever they need for the open house. Then you don't have to scramble for that on Saturday morning. And then you can call them on Monday, ask them how the open house was and get leads from them, right? So be thinking about these things. How can I make sure I better follow up in communication with my people? That's what Thursday is all about. For you real estate agents, it is real estate reviews. You need to be doing real estate reviews on Thursdays because your clients are going online to those companies. I won't mention any names, but one of them rhymes with pillow and begins with a Z. Your clients go there because they think that that's actually the value of their home. So you're going to do a CMA. We've been talking about it a bunch in the Win by Noon user mastermind group. If you're not a member, join it. If you don't use Win by Noon, you can still join it. Just say I was on your business planning webinar. I'll let you in. And you need to be doing the CMAs for your clients, giving them a market analysis of what the value is worth so that they're not using it. Side note, I'm a big HomeBot fan. In fact, I'll put the HomeBot information in there because I've got a discount code. I will send you that. But use that, be the expert that your clients want. I mean, no offense, if they're going there to get their home value, they don't view you as the expert. They actually view the website as the expert. They still may go there too, but this is your proactive way to let them know if those websites are bad, they don't do a good job, I do a good job, right? And then you can tell whatever story you want about their algorithms not being good. Won't go off on that tangent. But that's really what your Thursdays, you are giving your clients a real estate review. Fridays is annual mortgage review day for loan officers, right? If you're a loan officer and you're not doing annual mortgage reviews, start like that's important, do it. And I'm a big fan of Mortgage Coach. That's the best way to do it. You should be throwing the client's information there and doing the annual mortgage review and getting that getting that rolling for your clients. That is a huge gift. And then you're also going to be prepping for your weekend. You're going to be making sure that you've got the client, the Johnsons, tracked down and pre-qualified. You're going to make sure that you've rescheduled any appointments of someone who canceled during the week. If there's any real estate agent that you were trying to get a hold of, or you guys had things going back and forth, we'll make sure that you are doing all those things, tying up your loose ends, so that way you can go on the weekend and hopefully relax a little bit. Real estate agents, you're doing the same thing. You are tying up your week. It's your prepping for your open house. It's prepping your tour schedule, for going out on the weekend. What else do you need to do so that you can have the most focused weekend and work as little as possible as you head into the weekend? I think that that's really, really critical. And then Monday, weekend, weekends are weekends, right? If you're working, you're working. If you're not, you're not. But I don't have anything specific I would do on weekends. I would tell you that during the refi rush that we had, like when the business is there, then you're going to follow up on the weekends. But I prefer that people don't actually have to do that on weekends. Monday. So I was going to end with Monday. So Monday is, I kind of already gave you a little bit of a hint. If you're a loan officer, you're looking at all the people that went out looking at houses over the weekend and their realtors, and you're checking in with them. You're calling leads first, right? You're calling your loan apps that haven't converted, right? Again, remember, every day you're doing the daily disciplines. And then you are calling anyone at an open house, seeing if there's any leads you can follow up on. And then you're just launching your week, right? What else do I have to do this week to get going? Again, did someone cancel an appointment last week that I didn't get? Is there a loan app I've been after that I haven't gotten yet? Real estate agents, same thing, right? Maybe you're submitting offers, maybe you're replying to offers. Maybe you're just relaxing, but what is it that you have to do to set your week up, right? This is peace of mind. It's all to get your week launched. And again, it probably is one of your shortest days. It's clear your email from the weekend. It's just really get in that mind space to get going. And so the whole idea of writing it out is to be super intentional, right? So, you want to have that written out so you know what your week looks like, right? So I wrote out my week this week, right? I've got it here. It's already written out. I can look at this in the morning and I can see my ideal week. So why is it on here when your week is different? So that you can write these things in here as a reminder to yourself of what the gutter protectors are, right? We've all been to the bowling alley now with our kids where you can have a button go up and it makes it so you don't fall in the gutter. This is your reminder. This is your daily plan when you get in the office. And then you're going to mix in it other things that come up that you need to get done. And so I think that that's really critical. And that's why this is part of the business planning tool. I could have left this off. I could have just had this first page with a couple of pieces of the second page, and that would be it. I want the tool to be a little bit more free. I want it to be a little bit more of a planning guide. Literally, it could have been, what did I do last year? What are my activities and results I need to do? And then what's my goal for next year? I mean, that's all it had to be, but I think these things are really important. I'm going to peek at the questions real quick. I think it's flashing up that just a lot of people want to make sure I send this stuff out. So I will do that when I get done with this. And then I'm going to run you guys through how to work with other people if you want to do that. So, all right, so let's ask about where to join the mastermind group. So it's the Win by Noon user mastermind group on Facebook. So just go there and put yourself in there. We'd love to have you in there. I'll send out the call schedule because people are asking. A lot of the stuff is in resources section there, but I will put that on the list and I will make sure that I get that out to you guys. All right, deep breath. Let me take a quick drink. I apologize for going over. I just had the advisor say, hey, I got to jump. I got a client coming in. But that was nice of him to say thank you. All right. So it's kind of nice to be able to kick back. You have more energy when you stand and you talk. All right. So how do we talk with others? So let me just go to my PowerPoint. My PowerPoint was only 210 slides, by the way, but I fly through. You guys all know that. All right. So here is, who should care about working with others? Number one is that when you teach it, you get better at it for yourself, right? So that to me was part of my motivation for planning with others. For me as a loan officer, it was really good for me to recruit realtors. So when I would go teach it, so all you're going to teach the people is exactly what I just taught you, right? You're going to print out the tool. You're going to pass it out in the room or one-on-one, however you do it. Again, swipe and adapt what I just did, right? You can do that. You can sit down with a person one-on-one with this and say, first thing you do is look at last year, right? Let's talk about these ideas. And you can do that one-on-one with someone. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to decide how I'm going to teach it and what you're going to teach. And so just use what we've got here. That's what my goal is, to make it the easy button for you. And if I'm going to teach it one-on-one, that's pretty easy. I said kind of who's it for. I think if you're a team leader, you absolutely need to have your team doing this in real estate. I think if you're a branch manager, you should do it. For me, it was actually part of my recruiting when I was recruiting loan officers was I would help them do a business plan, right? I mean, that's, what better way to help them grow than to help them with a business plan. And most leaders, fail at that. And then, if you can get in front of a room, teach it in front of a room. If you're a real estate agent, teach the other real estate agents in your office. If you're a loan officer, go to their office and teach it with the real estate agent, right? I mean, I think that's really important because I think that's a huge opportunity for you to teach others and grow your business. So the first thing you have to do is get their buy-in, right? So when I would teach it in front of a room, I knew there's a thing called the Law of Diminishing Intent. And what that means is the further away we get from this call, the less likely you are to actually do your business plan, right? So when I was standing in front of that room, I would, people, the title company would get all the information, or if they were real estate agents, like, hey, give me your information. And most people would. And I'd say, awesome. Hey, just let me know, put a star next to your name if you want me to follow up to you. I'd love to help do a review to sharpen your business plan. Because again, it's always great to have a second set of eyes on your plan. So I would encourage you, if you've got a friend or that you invited to this call, or if you're a real estate agent, your loan officer invited you to this call, ask them to meet with you and sharpen your plan. Ask questions, make sure it's got the specificity, but you got to have that buy-in, right? So buy-in is first, like, hey, do you really want it? And so I would say, hey, put a star there and I'll follow up with you. Guess what? I followed up with everyone, whether they didn't put a star or not, but I followed up with people who put the star first because I knew they really wanted to talk to me. So get the buy-in, and then that's going to be number one. And then I would offer to help them write it. Again, schedule 90 minutes and sit down and say, hey, can we do this together? Anytime you can help someone do it, then you're better off than just telling them to do it. Because again, I already said law of diminishing intent. They're going to have great intentions to go out there and do it, but they might crash and burn. Because again, guess what? Business happens. Emails there, phone calls are there, texts are there, and that's a problem. And so I think that's the key. If you can help them with it, then that even ups it a notch. So first is you're going to teach it to them. You're going to get their buy-in on actually doing it. You can help them do it. And then last is figure out, what does your accountability look like? There's a book, it's probably somewhere up here on my bookshelf, I don't know where, but it's called The 4 Disciplines of Execution, 4DX. It was written by a few guys. One of them is Sean Covey, Stephen Covey, the 7 Habits guy, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People's son. And they talk about setting your goal, right? They talk about the chaos in between. They call it the whirlwind. The whirlwind gets in the way. They talk about the fact that you need to have lead indicators. What are the things that I need to do now that'll tell me whether I'm on track for my goal? Well, guess what? That's activities in our book. And then they say you have to have a cadence of accountability, they call it. So you have to decide, how am I going to hold you accountable, friend, partner, real, whatever you are, and what does that cadence of accountability look like? And I would say the 2 ways that I did it was I did it with a weekly call of people who were really into it, doing more transactions. And then I would do it with a bi-weekly call or a monthly call to everyone else. My best people, I would meet with them, do lunch with them, again, face-to-face once a month. My other people who I called once a month, I might meet with them once a quarter. Right now, you could do it over Zoom once a quarter. But that would typically, your check-ins are going to be weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly. And then guess what? At the next quarterly, you're going to be writing the one for Q2. And so it's not difficult to do if you're committed to do it. The difficult part is getting the buy-in and the people to do it. And don't be frustrated. You could present it to 10 people and only have 3 people do it. That's okay. I already said up front, 90% of people think it's a good idea, but only 10% of the people actually have a business plan. That's why 91% of an inconsistent month-over-month business. And so your goal is to get these people on board and be their cheerleader and help them do it. And it helps you be better, because guess what? I can't have thought about my business plan without to teach you guys before, I couldn't have taught this class without thinking about it, right? Like, I hadn't printed out my business plans yet. That's why I didn't realize they were wrong until I had Adam print them out for me yesterday. And so I would have them and be ready to go, but it's got me thinking about it, right? It has to get scheduled into your calendar, right? Schedule the time to do it. Help people. I think you'll find out. I got a lot of questions that looked like they popped up. Let's see what they were. And then I'll get you guys off to your day. So a bunch of people say 40X is a great book. It really is a great book. So it's called The 4 Disciplines of Execution. Someone's asked me how it would compare to the 12-week year. You know what? I hear that's an amazing book. I've never read it, but I have a lot of real estate teams that have used it in conjunction with Win by Noon. So my guess is it's kind of a similar idea around, I think what 40X is focused on the full 12 months. And it's really focused on, what do you do to make sure you get to your goal? So with 4 disciplines, yes. So someone's saying lead and lag, right? So your number of loans or number of homes you close, right, the families you serve next year, is a lag indicator. You're not going to know that till till towards the end of the year, right? We probably didn't have an idea until this week what my mortgage team's going to close this year. Now we got a pretty good idea, right? We know it's falling out. We know it's closing. Something else that comes in right now. We might squeeze in one or two more transactions, but it's not that likely. And so but if you've been looking at it all year, and since my team literally every day gets on a call and talks through how many leads, how many quality conversations, how many live meetings, how many leads, all that, they look at it every day. So, if someone knows their number is to do 20 and they're only doing 10, guess what? They're probably only going to hit 50% of their goal. And so the whole point of this Cadence accountability, knowing what are the lead measures that you need to get there. That's why the lead measures are built in Win by Noon. It's not rocket science, right? There's tons of programs out there that all talk about this. I just built it in a way that made it easy for us to actually record the activities and track the results. And so I think it's a really big opportunity for people to learn. So here's what I would say. Let me kind of throw a couple of last things out there, and then ask me any last minute questions that you guys have. And I apologize for running over for my technical difficulties out front. So I'm going to send an email to all of you, and the email is going to have a link to download to directly download the business planning tools. I'm going to add a couple of PDFs to it. I'm going to add in there a PDF of the fold out version, how I have mine, versus a single page version, and the ideal week, because I had people ask me for that. I'm also going to find the keep, improve, start, stop form that'll help you with this first page when you're looking back on what you want to implement for the year. And then lastly, I'll have a link to the life planning class and the HomeBot discount code link, and maybe some other exciting things if I can think about them. But I'll get that email out by tomorrow. Under promise, over deliver. My real goal will be actually to sit down and get it done right now before I get distracted. The challenge will be pulling everyone's name out of Zoom and sending an email, which that's the hard part. So that might take me till tomorrow. Thank you. I'm super grateful for you all showing up, taking time to be here, especially those of you who hung on late. It's important to me because my goal, my why, is to help you reach your potential, whatever you believe it to be. And I know this. I know if you take the time, if you are intentional with your daily schedule, that you go into the office with a plan every day, then I am extremely certain you're going to have a fabulous 2022. If you go into 2022 and you're like, yeah, I'm going to get to that business plan thing eventually, then I'm worried that you're not going to get there. So this is the first step for us. This is the first step for you. And the reason I took the time, and I prepared a lot, I laughed because everyone made fun of me. I actually was nervous for the conversation today. That's why I laughed that my Zoom didn't work, and my PowerPoint that I worked on even this morning to update, because I really just wanted to deliver over the top. And it's funny. I actually love teaching like this, where I just teach with the piece of paper, but the PowerPoint acts as a guide for me. It acts as a script, so I don't forget to say anything. Like, I have some cool quotes on there that I didn't put on there, like, William Arthur Ward says a good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. And so, I think ultimately it's, it really boils down to anything that I can do to help you be successful with your plan. Let me know. Todd at winbynoon.com. I think you guys all know that. Super excited for the life planning class next week. So want you guys to think about showing up for that. And I think that 2022 is your year, right? 2021 was a great year. I don't know too many who didn't have a pretty darn good year this year, but I want 2022 to be a different year, because I want 2022 to be the year that you execute with intentionality in a way that you never have. I want 2022 to be a year where you repeat what you did financially and then some, but I want it to be done with a little more margin, with a little less stress, with a little more intention to create less stress. And I want you to be able to have the time with the ones you love, not just your clients and partners who love you. So thank you. I apologize again for going late and long, but hopefully it was worth it. I look forward to our next conversation next week, and anything else I can do to help, let me know. You guys are the best.